Good morning. I'm here in Munich. I was going to do this update on the first day of the conference from my hotel room, but it snowed overnight, which I was a little bit excited about. So I'm sitting here in the middle of a very snowy, very cold, gorgeously German park, and I thought I'll do the update of what happened and what went down. So, very big day, as you probably expect with that sort of lineup. We started the day, the woman who runs the conference, Steffi, she said rather than start the conference this year with 3 old men, she wanted to start it with 3 young women. So that kind of really shifted the energy. The woman who came up with the conference theme, what are you adding? She spoke, Clara Barnett. She was a very passionate English woman. And her whole thing was not, like, to be really conscious about what you're adding. To think about for what, like why are you even trying to add this thing that you want to bring to this conference, into this world? Whose voices and needs are you thinking about? And how are you going to do it? What are the processes and operations behind it? And be really conscious and a personal challenge to ask yourself that every day. What am I adding? So I guess for me at the moment, really focused on how bots and humans can work together. I'm trying to add, I guess, to that conversation and to show real examples of people doing positive things in the world using this cobots technology. So that's my little spiel. But anyway, let's get on to the good stuff, like what I actually saw. So I recommend looking up, if you're on Twitter, Jovial Joy. We had this woman, Joy, and I cannot pronounce her last name. It's Buolama Amweni Bolomo. Yeah, anyway, she's a data poet. And she's got a company called, or an organization called the Algorithmic Justice League. And they looked at the coded bias in a lot of machine-driven algorithms that look at image recognition. So she started this a few years ago now, and she had such an interesting way of presenting it. She doesn't just get up and do a PowerPoint. She did almost like a slam poetry. That's why she calls herself a code poet. And she's got this, I recommend looking at it on YouTube. It was called AI Ain't I a Woman? And that was the theme of the poem. And I'll put a link in the bio anyway, but she was all about looking at the companies that are kind of, I guess, creating this bias. The data that they use tends to mean that it's white males that are well recognized, but often women, especially of color, are recognized as men. And I guess she's just trying to bring light to it, not to name and shame, but to name and change this this part of technology. So that was really interesting. She's got a movie coming out called Coded Bias. It's at the Sundance Film Festival coming up shortly, so that will be really cool. One of the really nice things about DLD is they link in art and science together. And so we had Eduardo Terraza, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's a Mexican artist. He designed the 1956 Olympic logo for Mexico Olympics. And he's a bit of a cosmic painter, and he's into patterns and beauty. And oh wow, it's actually snowing on me. And he was sort of teamed up with this guy, Marcus du Sautoy from Oxford University, a mathematician. And his idea is, I guess, is that a mathematician is a pattern finder. Eduardo is a pattern finder, and together they were able to solve problems and work together and have a different perspective on things. Marcus was saying that, like, we all have a different language that we speak. So mathematics speaks in a certain language, the artist speaks in a different language, the scientist speaks in a different language. But essentially we're all looking for patterns and meaning. They were pretty amazing. Next panel I saw, I had Esther Dyson, an American journalist, businesswoman, philanthropist. She had teamed up with this lady, Catherine Coleman, who's an astronaut. She's been in space, 2 successful missions for, I think it was 159 days. And I guess they, again, gave a different perspective. Esther Dyson had been up into the atmosphere and like that, had that sense of weightlessness. She wasn't an astronaut. But I guess they talked about whether or not we need to leave the planet to get a new perspective on things. But I guess having the theme of the day was around our responsibility to care for this world that we are in. And Esther had this another amazing project she was talking about called Wellville. It's a not-for-profit 10-year project, picked 5 cities within the US and is trying to move them towards a more well-being focused healthcare system and influence change at a higher level. You walk around the halls and you just meet these people that are just doing it, you know. They're just very powerful in that they've built momentum in their career and tried lots of different things, and they understand the power of network, and they're willing to connect you with whatever you need. So that's been quite amazing. So after that, oh yes, I guess I showed you my little koala. I still got that here. No, I've lost it. Yesterday, having a koala on your delegate badge, you know, you would think, oh wow, that would be great. And normally as an Australian or a Kiwi going overseas, you get received quite positively. It's not the case this time, and I think it's worth mentioning. So there's been a lot of press here in Germany around Siemens' involvement in the Adani coal mine, providing some of the infrastructure for that. And there is huge backlash, activist protests that Siemens should not be involved in supporting the burning of fossil fuels, and people feel very strongly about this. And in the talks that I saw yesterday, at least 3 times I saw people put up a still of bushfires. Maybe it was even 4 times, different talks. Bushfires in Australia referencing that this is real. And then unfortunately we are now kind of associated with the leaders not taking the action that needs to be taken. And so people had a lot of questions for me about what is Australia doing? What do we believe in? Almost like, I don't know, they feel sorry for us for the fires. Of course, it's a horrendous thing that has happened, but what are we going to do to fix it is the question. And yeah, it was interesting. All the other Australians there, at the end of the day, there was only 2 people still with their koalas on their badges because they'd had the same issue. And it's a different reaction, and probably an experience worth having, because it makes me think, wow, what are we doing? And I guess I want to become, get more knowledge on this topic and be able to have ideas and use the technology that we have to kind of influence that, some change towards it. It's also, I guess we heard a lot from recently, I don't know if you've heard BlackRock, their $7 trillion war chest of funding that they have is now being redirected away from fossil fuels and things that are affecting climate change. Microsoft has come out with this huge pledge basically to become zero carbon by 2030, and to remove all historical carbon emissions, like the equivalent of, for their 75 years of trading, by 2050. So big announcements from these companies, and yeah, it's been tough to be like flying the Aussie flag, but at the same time I'm here, and I just think there's an opportunity here. People are galvanized into action, and so sustainability was a massive theme today. We had Mark Buckley, he has created a mission statement and a global action plan for the UN based on the 11 Sustainable Development Goals. He was awesome. He was just like, you know what? I need to create this kind of picture for you. Imagine you're driving down the highway and you're going the wrong direction, but you slow down. And we all just like, oh yeah, okay. And he goes, but you're still going the wrong direction. It doesn't matter that you're slowing down. And then, okay, we got the bushfire picture and the Australia example, that just to try and slow down or make small changes is not enough. We are going in the wrong direction, and we need to turn around to save our life, our well-being, our planet. So that was quite cool. Then we had 7x10 sustainability, which was 7 speakers talking for 10 minutes each on sustainability, and it was just boom, 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 boom. Some of them were quite impressive. You had everything from WWF, the Worldwide Fund for Nature, to Ecosia. This is a startup out of Berlin that has a search engine. If you haven't heard of it, ECOSIA, download their search engines now, put them on your phone, and all of the ad profits from those search engines go towards planting trees. They've planted 80 million trees already. Awesome startup, great mission, great culture, just good people. That was really awesome. We had this guy, what was his name? Let me just double check here. Bill Gross from the Idea Lab. And he is a crazy kind of scientist. I don't know. It was hard to keep up with what he was talking about, but he was looking at the cost of energy, and it makes up 10% of the world economy. It's like 70 or 80 trillion dollars. 10% of that is energy. And so his thing is that if we can't make energy, sustainable, renewable energy, cheaper than the current option, it's never going to happen. So he's got all these crazy things going on. Like, he is harnessing the power of the sun and mirrors to create energy. He's got this I didn't quite understand how it worked, but this huge crane system that moves these batteries around, and then the movement was able to store this energy. And anyway, he's been able to drop the price down to 3 cents a kilowatt, I think, or less than. Quite wild, some of the stuff that's going on, and it gives you a lot of hope and energy that yes, we can solve these problems that we face. And then we had Leanne Kemp, our Queensland Chief Entrepreneur. She was near the end of the day. She got up there and just told her story of Everledger, of bringing that provenance, that transparency and trust back to a lot of industries. Her big message for people for the day was, with every purchasing decision that you make, where did it come from and where does it go next? And thinking about that from, if we can just, at a very simple level, every purchasing decision, just to go, where does this come from and what are we going to do with it when I'm done with it? Because it doesn't go away. And she's bringing, with blockchain technology and Everledger, I guess, visibility to a lot of different spaces. Diamonds was a big one for her. There was a lady on stage with her from Wine Ring. She's looking at fashion now, very inspirational lady, and we're very lucky to have her in Australia. So anyway, I'm gonna go because I actually can't feel, oops, sorry, my fingers, they are gone bright red. It's very cold. I'm sitting on a ground in a snow-filled field. Absolute incredible opportunity to be here. Thank you to everyone who supported me to get here. My family who are doing it tough back home, well, not doing it tough, hanging out in summer. It takes a village, right? And I just want to be able to share these learnings that I'm having. I'm going to write blogs about it on Twitter. I'm posting and I'm doing lots of drawings. If you're interested in that, I'll put some of those up. I'll try and think of all the links that I've mentioned here today. But overall, it felt like this is the decade of consciousness. We really have to take ownership of who we are and what we do as individuals and in our businesses. There is no more just closing your eyes and thinking, it'll be okay. We cannot keep doing things the way we've been doing them, but it's a great opportunity. And I was looking up today around how does snow actually form? And it's when there's dirty particles, sort of dirt particles in the air, and they crystallize in a cloud, and then they get too heavy and they fall to ground. And I feel in 2020, we have a lot of dirty things around us that we need to clean up, but we can make something beautiful out of it. And you see the snow around you here, and I just see that as, I guess for me it's been, I don't know, I get excited about these things obviously, but I feel like we can do this. All right, 12 minutes, shit. Okay, I better get into the conference, I'm running late. Lovely to talk to you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.